Welcome Matt Barrows in on the conversation. Hey, Matty, how you doing, and what do you think of that?
Yeah, that was impressive because, as we all know, as we all saw throughout the playoffs, the Eagles had a lot of talent on that defensive line, from Hassan Reddick to Brandon Graham, et cetera, et cetera. So for Baldy to say that about the interior guy, that says everything. And the numbers all kind of align to that. I was looking at his combine numbers because that's something that Chris Kaczmarek, the defensive line coach, looks at. And he was 6'1", 309 pounds back in 2016. So you can sort of picture the bowling ball shape there. And his 10-yard split was 1.57 seconds, which is what you see a lot of cornerbacks and certainly smaller players get. And you see that when you watch him on tape. He's the first guy off the line of scrimmage, and that's very important to Kaczmarek. Burst and penetration and getting into the backfield and all of that. And so he's got that quickness, and then he finishes. I mean, he gets sacks. He gets tackles behind the line of scrimmage. So you pair that with a Nick Bosa, who's been working on his own 10-yard split, and Eric Armstead, and you have something right there. I don't know who's going to be the fourth guy along that line. Drake Jackson could be, you're right. Eric Armstead could definitely pop out on base downs, that sort of thing. But you've got a very strong mix at your most important position on defense right off the bat.
And what does this mean for Javon Kinlaw? Obviously, long-term, not good, but in the short term, does it mean that he could possibly be on the move?
I don't think so. I mean, the 49ers certainly haven't talked that way. He's been coming in just about every day to work out there, so they've seen him. He's in the building. He looks good on the practice field, and I know a lot of fans will say, "Well, that's all fine and dandy. How's he going to look on the field?" That's where he's been lacking to this point. But they're encouraged now. Obviously, with this move, they're not dependent on him, and I think that was the case before this Hargrave addition was made. So I don't know. To me, the ideal lineup has Bosa, Armstead, Hargrave, and maybe Drake Jackson. Maybe that's your nickel alignment. And then the base has Bosa, Hargrave, Kinlaw, and then Armstead at the other defensive end spot. That's a possibility as well. So anyway you slice it, it's pretty good. But I don't think that Javon Kinlaw is on the move. Obviously, if he falters or there's some issue throughout the off season, that could be in the cards. But right now, they wouldn't save all that much from cutting him. I don't think that they'd get much on the market if they tried to trade him.
Matt Barrows with us here, Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Okay, you worked through a portion of the defense. Let's talk about how they rework the secondary, though, now that Jimmy Ward and Emmanuel Mosley are gone.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't really know the answer at this point. Diamador Lenore, his arc was heading upward towards the end of the season. I think the 49ers would be comfortable with a outside cornerback duo of Charvarius Ward and Diamador Lenore. That was their playoff duo, and they did really well in the playoffs, especially Lenore. He had that interception against the Cowboys, started to look really good. His confidence was sky high by the end of the postseason. That would create a question of who's the nickel. That was Jimmy Ward's job last year. As it stands now, I think Samuel Womack would step into that role. That's why they drafted him in the 5th round last year. They are looking at budget veterans at nickel. There's a guy, Trey Herndon, who's been with the Jaguars the last few years that they're kicking the tires on. I don't know if he's the only one, but that's the realm. That's the ilk that they're looking at. I mean, they just don't have a lot of space right now after some of these moves. So that's how I see it. I mean, drafting a cornerback in April is certainly possible. They've got 11 picks. They could be drafting just about any position: defensive line, offensive line, tight end. I think will be a big one there, and also defensive back.
Linebacker's been such a great area of strength of this team. Azeez Al-Shire has been a good depth piece when you've had injuries to Dre Greenlaw and when Fred Warner missed time. Is Flanagan Fowles able to step in and be that player, or will they look elsewhere for more linebacking help in the draft?
Yeah, he's one of these soon-to-be free agents. He'll be a free agent tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure what the plan is with him. John Lynch mentioned at the Combine that Oren Burks would be the new number 3 linebacker, kind of stepping into that Azeez role. I know that they also like this guy, Marcelino McCrary-Ball. He was an undrafted rookie last year. I want to say out of Indiana. Really athletic, a guy that you would think would be terrific on special teams, goes sideline to sideline. That's sort of my dark horse to make the 53-man roster come September.
Matt, let's talk about something that no one ever talks about, and that is quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. Can we get into this a little bit? I mean, the question, it was something we were waiting for. Who was going to be the other guy that they brought into the QB room? And we all wanted to know, what would that signing sort of tell us about how they feel about Trey Lance? So how would you answer that question? Sam Darnold's arrival means what in terms of how the 49ers feel about Lance?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're Team Lance, you like that signing because it's not a guy that is kind of champing at the bit to be the starter. Like if they had signed a Matt Ryan or a Jacoby Brissett, which to me is a tier higher than a Sam Darnold, I think that would have been a worry if you were Trey Lance or in Trey Lance's corner. But remember, I mean, I don't think we're going to see Brock Purdy for a while until the regular season begins, and then maybe he's just starting to practice at the start of the regular season, not quite ready to play. So they need somebody to back him up. So I mean, I always thought that would be the case. You know, especially after the Purdy surgery, and we learned that it would be just being in quotation marks 6 months. But I thought that would be the level that we're talking about. I called it the Andy Dalton line, a guy that you would be okay if he had to start a number of games for you, but you've got, better prospects, and I think that's exactly where the 49ers stand. I mean, Trey Lance last year was earmarked as a starter. He was anointed, and I thought he did a good job handling that role in the spring. I thought he did a good job in training camp. Was it perfect? No. Was the preseason perfect? No. But I thought he was doing everything in his power to signal that I'm the number one guy moving forward. So if he's just able to duplicate that, and I think he ought to be a little bit better, given that he did have all last offseason to be the number one guy. I think that he goes into week one as the top quarterback, and really, given Purdy's situation, his injury, there are no sort of questions being asked at that point. Now, if there's struggles in September and all of a sudden Purdy's ready to play, then that's when we get into our quarterback controversy, our quarterback battle. You guys are going to make a lot of hay come September, because that's all anybody is going to be wanting to talk about is who should be number one once Purdy is healthy enough to practice again.
I can't wait for that, Matt. It's what we do here, 2 to 6 on Willard and Dibs. If this was a written piece, a notebook, then this would be the kicker. So I need to ask you about the kicker.
I don't have any kicker news.
Come on.
I know that the 49ers incumbent kicker, Robbie Gould, wants to make a good amount of money. It probably starts with a 5. And I know that the 49ers don't want to pay their kicker an amount that starts with a 5. So, I've always thought that the other team that could make a real play for Robbie Gould is the Dallas Cowboys. To this point, the Cowboys have not opened their wallet. So I don't know what that means. I don't know who else is out there. I've heard that the Jets are looking at kickers. There are a few other teams. The question, though, is which teams are looking for Robbie Gould? 40-year-old kicker, who doesn't miss in the playoffs and who wants to be paid and, frankly, deserves to be paid among the highest kickers in the league. And to me, the answer is a team that expects to be playing in the postseason and, just doesn't want to go home with a missed kick in Green Bay or some other inclement place. And, those two teams to me that jump out are the 49ers and the Cowboys. So I'm sure Robbie is waiting for this to heat up. There have been a couple of kickers signed so far. Greg the Leg and Matt Gay got signed by the Colts, I believe. But other than that, it's been quiet at that position. Is
he definitely gone? And you know what I mean? Because that was weird, I thought. The way he came out is like, yeah, I'm expecting to be elsewhere next year. And it seemed like it I don't know. It's not that clear cut, is it?
No, it isn't to me. I mean, he may have talked with a team, and the team may have kind of gone over their free agency plan with him, and then said, we're thinking about targeting Javon Hargrave and doing this quarterback. And Robbie saw the handwriting on the wall and realized that there wasn't a lot of room left after that. John Lynch said in Indianapolis just a couple of weeks ago that they certainly haven't closed the door on Robbie, but that they were looking at rookie kickers. I still find it hard to believe that this team, that sees itself playing consequential games in January and perhaps February, would rest everything on a rookie kicker. I mean, I still think that the 49ers need Robbie Gould, and really Robbie Gould needs the 49ers. I mean, Robbie Gould's goal is to make the Pro Football Hall of Fame. How do you do that as a kicker? That's difficult as a kicker.
Right.
You do that by making huge kicks at huge moments, and he's been doing that, but if he wants to continue that, the 49ers seem like the best place to do it.
Matt Gay got 5.6 average annual value. I wonder what that might have done to the Niners in terms of their willingness to spend that much on Robbie Gould.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they want to spend that much.
Right,
the question in my mind is who else wants to spend that much?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like the Cowboys are champing at the bit, and it may be that all these teams are just kind of waiting for that to die down a little bit and for that price tag to come down to a more reasonable spot. I want to say that the 49ers had been paying Robbie an average of $4.8 million, and I would assume that that's a number that they're more comfortable with in coming years.
I appreciate the correct usage, by the way, of champing at the bit.
Yeah,
that's an educated man right there.
Well, this is what you go to journalism school and you pay $35,000 to learn that it's champing, not chomping.
Yes, thank you.
All right, there he is.
Money well spent.
Right,
attaboy.
Matt Barrows of The Athletic. Sorry,
no, he had to borrow.
I didn't have
no
that.
doubt.
Yeah, that's
$35K.
That's how we do college.
He
isn't
was
it?
Matt Barrows.
Yeah, Matty, thanks, man.
All right, anytime, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right, absolutely. There he goes. That's Matt Barrows, The Athletic.